I have to tell you that the pictures of the Homeland Security or the Border Patrol agents on horseback who are trying to stop Haitian migrants from setting foot on American soil, the pictures that were taken over the weekend, were some of the worst I've seen in terms of how it made me feel. I realize this is not about me. But being a human being and an American, I look at pictures like that, video like that, and I don't know how to react except maybe to scream, shout, cry, beat the hell out of the couch cushions, go outside and run a mile. I don't know what to do. In the first place, I had a question about what the hell are Haitians doing trying to cross the border between Mexico and the United States? How did they get there? It's just a question. I'm sure it's easily explainable if somebody would take the time to tell me, or I could find out myself. But I look at the Haitians and I think about their history, what that little island, half an island nation has gone through ever since they rose up against the French white people who enslaved them and put them to work on plantations on the island of Hispaniola all those decades, centuries ago, and how the Haitians rose up and said enough of this shit and overthrew, murdered, destroyed the French landowners who were exploiting the hell out of them ever since then. Because the Haitians, the native Haitians, most of whom are from Africa, because they had the absolute temerity to say, no, we're not going to be enslaved anymore, the white nations have treated them like dirt, like literal dirt. And then the fact, just what's the best way to put it? The tragedy of geographic location, where they are within that earthquake zone, not the ring of fire that we're all familiar with, but an earthquake zone that continues to hit some of the islands in the Caribbean, especially Haiti, and then the fact that it's so vulnerable to hurricanes. I mean, it's as though the people on half of that island have been cursed. I mean, literally cursed. So there they were trying to enter the United States. Now, let me be very clear about this. I understand that as long as we have nation states, as long as we have borders and boundaries and agreements and immigrant quotas and so on and so forth, there has to be some order. Open borders is not the solution unless the open borders are among countries that are educated enough and adult enough and compassionate enough to make sure that an open border policy is going to work. And the human species is far away from that as the Earth is from Pluto. And I don't think we'll ever get there. We're too tribal, too territorial, too, you don't look like me, so I don't want you around me, that sort of thing. So I don't know how to control the visceral reaction that I get when I see what was happening to these people. These are people, men, women, children, babies, who are not there because they've heard that the United States is a good place to go visit, and let's take a look at the Grand Canyon and, the San Francisco Bay Bridge or the Statue of Liberty. They are there out of sheer desperation. So what do we do? I don't know. I'm not here to bust up on the landowners along the southern border of the United States who have to deal with people coming into the country. I'm not here to discuss that or even talk about it. I have no answers for that. I have God knows, no solution. But I am here to just talk about the visceral shock and pain and embarrassment and shame that I feel when I see mounted American Homeland Security or Border Patrol agents striking people, what appeared to be striking people with their reins from their horses, trying to push people back into the Rio Grande River. And I know this is nothing new. Maybe it's a new thing here, but look what has been going on in Southern Europe for the past, 30 years, 20 years for sure, with all the disturbances in the Middle East, especially what happened in Northern Africa and in Syria and in Lebanon and in Iraq. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of immigrants trying to get away from the death and destruction and starvation and rotten water and terrible global warming just to live. The people from Northern Africa and the Middle East who were swarming across the Mediterranean and drowning by the hundreds, men, women, children, babies, just drowning, just disappearing into the sea. But the ones who made it, just trying to they're not there to see the Arc de Triomphe. They're not there to see the statue of, the Eiffel Tower. They're there to find a way to live. But that's over there. This is here. And the news cameras and photographers that recorded those scenes Sunday along the Rio Grande with mounted agents, Border Patrol, Homeland Security, I don't know who they are, trying to grab migrants and using the horses to push them back toward Mexico. But once they're on U.S. soil, pushing them back toward Mexico means pushing them into the Rio Grande River. What the fuck is going on? This is madness. We don't do this, do we? To immigrants that are coming up out of Central America or Mexico. But these are Haitians. They're very black, aren't they? One agent is heard on the video, maybe you saw it, shouting an obscenity, I think the word fuck or something, as a child jumps out of the horse's path. I don't know. I wish I knew. I wish this podcast were more interactive as it was when I used to do talk radio, because I would like to ask people, how do you cope with this emotionally? I mean, as an American, as an observer, and I don't care what your race is, I'm talking about your nationality. Your nationality is you are an American. And when you see this, when you see people, human beings just like me, just like you, struggling to just get a footing on U.S. soil, carrying their bags of what? What the hell are in those bags? Those that appear to be blankets or sheets twisted together so they can be carried. What the hell is inside? Their clothing? Decaying food? Rancid water? A picture that they're the last thing they have brought from Haiti? How do you react? How do you handle it? How do you handle it? Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas told reporters in that town, that Texas town, Del Rio, where 15,000 border crossers have been camped under a bridge. He was asked about this. What's to be done? Well, Mayorkas, I saw him this morning or I heard him this morning on CNN, I guess it was, where he was being questioned. And the best he could do, and I'm not faulting him, I'm just saying the best he could do was saying that the Department of Homeland Security had released a statement announcing formal inquiries. Mayorkas said he had directed that after watching the videos. He said he was shocked, horrified. The statement from the Department of Homeland Security read in part this, quote, "The Department of Homeland Security does not tolerate the abuse of migrants in our custody, and we take these allegations very seriously. The footage is extremely troubling, and the facts learned from the full investigation, which will be conducted swiftly, will define the appropriate disciplinary action to be taken." Okay, okay. A statement. I've heard those words before in different contexts, maybe structured a little bit differently in the sentences, but we've heard all this before, haven't we? And the statement added that Mayorkas has directed Homeland Security's Internal Oversight Office to send personnel to this encampment, if that's what you want to call it, under the bridge, to oversee the conduct of the DHS and Border Patrol agents full time. They're going to be there to observe, quote, full time. The statement added this, quote, "We are committed to processing migrants in a safe, orderly, and humane way. We can and must do this in a way that ensures the safety and dignity of migrants." Okay, I mean, I'm not going to be a real asshole here and criticize the statement vis-a-vis the actions that we see on video. I mean, the men on horses who were trying to force people back into the Rio Grande River were not the ones who wrote the statement. They're not the ones who make the policy. I understand that. But Jesus bleeding Christ, I'm sure all those people on horseback were Christian, brought up Christian. I mean, is that what you do? I mean, didn't the Christian Messiah say something about welcoming these people? I don't know what to do. I honestly don't. It's difficult to sit here and just be critical. I admit that. I can't just sit here in my little desk in my Daniel Scapin studio, isolated from the world in the foothills of the North Georgia mountains. Truly, believe me, isolated from the world out here. And make snotty, sarcastic remarks about those men on horseback or the Department of Homeland Security or the Border Patrol agents. All I can do is just tell you how horrifying it was. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.